As 16 days of activism against women and child abuse is being observed, eNCA reporter Masego Rahlaga spoke to inmates at the Leeuwkop prison here in Gauteng who are serving time for rape. She joins us now. Good evening, Masego. Thanks for coming through. So you spoke to these men who are serving time, and do they feel any remorse? What do they have to say upon reflection, obviously?
Well, Vuyo, it was quite a day that day, actually quite a morning that became a day, and the whole weekend of me reflecting about actually having to go to Leeuwkop to speak to people who are in prison for such violation. And, you know, it's different. You know, with one prisoner, you sense the remorse, you sense the repentance, and you sense that he is sorry, if I can say that. Because, I mean, it's too late by now, because that's something that you take from a woman that you cannot give back to her. While the other one is still making excuses, Vuyo, you know, the usual excuses. But let me not get into it too much. Let's just have a listen to him and what he had to say about what happened that day.
What happened, it was a party friend who I used to party with. And I thought that she saw the interest that I vested in her, because she would visit me, and I'll also visit her. We'll have brides at her place, and we'll also meet in public spots. And one day I visited her in her flat. There was a helper in her flat who opened the door with her 4-year-old daughter. And I didn't find it strange to go into her private space when the helper said, "No, it's fine, you can go in and enter, because you'll find her in the room." And then I entered the room. At that time, I was intoxicated, because the whole aim is that I was drinking in her complex, and knowing that she stayed in that particular complex, my aim of going to her was to call her to join us for the drinks. But when I got inside the room, yes, she was half naked, dressed half naked.
So you see, for some of the prisoners, and funny enough, with the 10-year sentence that he was handed, he's served 3 so far. But he seems to be the prisoner that is not accepting, as you heard in what he said. I mean, he went into her space. He knocked on the door, got into her house, got into her bedroom. And for instance, we are in my bedroom, your bedroom, whether you're a man or a woman, you feel free to walk around half naked, and he seems to still be dwelling on the she was half naked and I was intoxicated, and I thought her being silent was a yes. But I just want to also play the clip of the other guy that I spoke to. He was up front from the beginning. There's such a huge contrast between the two, because from the beginning he said, "I was wrong. I forced myself on that woman."
I'm here for rape. Serving 10 years, and I'm 1 year, 6 months into my sentence. My case dates back to 2014. I was working for a political organization. There was this lady I had dated for a short while, a couple of months to be quite exact. And I was driving through this street, and I happened to come across her. It wasn't a planned meeting. He drove the whole day. She did make the intention clear that she wasn't there to come see me. I was manipulative, and she ended up at my place, and I forced myself into her.
Now, jail is, as the name suggests here in South Africa, correctional services.
Yes.
It's supposed to get you know, offenders to sort of mend their ways. Are there programs in place to actually, for example, someone like the guy we just saw, you know, to sort of help him be like, do more good, you know, but also not only for himself, but to help others, sort of the guy you spoke to, the guy we first saw, to help those people also come to terms with the reality that in spite of the denials that they may still have, they committed wrongs.
There are programs, for instance, by the time we went to actually produce the story and actually shoot, the Correctional Services Department, after our request, had tried to get the victims of the two guys to speak to them and let them know that this interview is going to happen. If you would like to, the guys do want to apologize to you as the victim. If you would like to come forward. Unfortunately, they didn't have enough time to actually have that execution, because we needed to be quick also, because, correctional services, jails are not safe. They try to get us out of there as quickly as possible. There are those processes, but also what I know is, for instance, the second guy that we spoke to has been in there for 1 year, 6 months. And when I asked him about correctional services procedures that, are helpful, because that's what correctional services says it's there for. He said, for him, what he's noticed in the 18 months that he's been in prison is that you could be there for 10 years, you could be there for 2 days. It's up to you. The systems are there for you to actually repent, go for counseling, accept that counseling through correctional services, and actually allow them to help you. But as long as you don't want to, it's not going to happen for you. I mean, the first guy was there for 3 years, and he's still making the excuses. This guy was there for 1 year, 6 months, and he was outright by saying, I forced myself into her. So the systems are there, and, they try to help. For instance, the first guy was also talking about how he thinks his problem is deeper, and actually a lot of men have a deeper problem of not wanting to accept counseling and help, or not wanting to cry out to say they need help, because they are men, and culturally and sometimes religiously as well, they are taught to always be the stronger sex, the dominating sex, and therefore they wallow in self-pity and all negativity. And then they end up finding themselves in situations like these. Some of them worse, actually. They end up murdering their partners or, women. So the systems are there, but the statistics keep going up. And I asked them, where is it that we're going wrong? And the prisoners themselves actually said, we don't know. We just think it's a deep-rooted problem that needs to start with the entire society. With the second guy, actually, he has 3 daughters. And I asked him, if you have 3 daughters and you're in here for such a crime, how do you explain to your daughters? How do you then protect them from where you are? And, how are they even going to look at their father knowing that you violated another man's child the way that you did? And he said that's what he actually always grapples with. He grapples with that, and that one moment of using his position, because he was a community leader for a certain organization, he wouldn't say which political organization, that he used that to actually pin someone down like that. And he says he doesn't know how he's going to explain it to them. But he also then said it's not the responsibility of the girl child to protect herself. The boy child should also be taught that this is not right, so that everybody just lives, instead of one trying to protect and the other trying to dominate, and it's just ending up like this.
Okay. So we're going to leave it for now. Thanks very much for coming through. eNCA's Masego Rahlaga, who of course visited some of the offenders, people who raped and are now serving time in jail.